All right, what's going on, ladies and gents? Welcome back to the channel for another weekly update. Hope everybody's having a lovely weekend. And with that being said, let's dive into the TA. All right, guys, we got some pretty exciting stuff going on this week. On Wednesday, we do have our rate decision. It is very likely that we get that rate cut. So we're going to talk about this in this video. And then we have PC coming out on Friday. But the big one is going to be that Wednesday rate decision. And, you know, it's extremely likely that we get the rate cut. And we have some setups here that are suggesting that we are going to begin that cut. And then these things are going to have life given back into them, flow back into them, I should say. And I'm actually just going to start off with the ticker that, you know, is really giving me my hint of the week. All right. And that is IWM over here. So here on this channel, guys, we talk about, you know, 3 of the 4 major indices, and then we cover the VIX, and we come to our conclusion each week. This weekly update is where we're going to go over the outlook for the whole week. And I am just going to say, I think downside is limited, all right, or the bottom is already in. And then we see a rally from here. And one of the major, you know, components of that thesis is going to be right over here in IWM. You did close the week right off of the weekly 9 EMA right here. We can see this is, you know, oftentimes where we get the bounces from. You're in the golden pocket, but I also do want to point out, if we come over the 4-hour time frame, extended hours on, we are down to a spot here on the RSI that you typically see downside be limited from, or you just start bouncing back from, okay? I'm not saying we're just going to bounce right back, but I'm saying right here, IWM is giving us a hint, pretty loud and clear. It is already very oversold coming into this big event on Wednesday. If it starts, you know, if it starts bouncing back into the event, if it falls a little into the event, and then that event gives it that life I was just talking about, like that would make perfect sense to me. All right, so, you know, that is what I want to start off the video with, is the fact that IWM has given us a massive clue here. 4-hour RSI is already oversold coming into the, you know, if they cut rates, that's good for small caps, all right? That's good for the more risky companies. They can borrow at, you know, lower rates there. Overall, it's typically seen as a good thing for small caps when we do get the rate cuts. I am thinking this time is going to be no different. We are in a key spot right there, so, you know, don't even mind the support and resistance. We're in the golden pocket. Even if you don't hold the golden pocket and you come a little bit lower, you got this massive uptrend here. All right. And then you also have the same break and retest level that gave us our last big bounce that we were able to play. And, you know, that's at 226.64. Price is currently 233.07. You know, it can come a little bit lower, but I'm going to say either the bottom is right around right here, or we're going to come down here and put in the bottom, and then you rally off that Wednesday event. So, you know, I'm thinking we get the rate cut. I'm thinking IWM gets some life given back into it. And, you know, we see small caps go for a ride. We got some small cap setups to talk about in today's video. So we will talk about those at the end of the video. For now, we're going to go over the major indices, and then we're going to go over the big boys, the mega caps, the Magnificent 7 stocks, whatever you want to refer to them as. I call them the big boys here on this channel. We're going to go over those. Then we have the semiconductors. And then I have, you know, 5 to 10 trade ideas going into the following week just for you. All right, we're going to kick it off here with QQQ because that was the leader. NASDAQ was the leader. Big tech is, you know, it's looking pretty solid, okay? Pretty solid. And we have a lot of things, you know, a lot of major components here that when they're pulling back, they're just pulling back into key areas and they're likely to get bought up. All right, so we did close out the week with, you know, a rather bullish candlestick over here, increasing volume. Not saying it just goes straight up here. You know, we clear as day do have sellers present in this little area over here, right around 530, I would call it, 530.61. You're definitely finding sellers there. You can see here on the hourly time frame. We go like that. You see how, you know, it popped up here. Sellers popped up here, sellers over here. Are we going to get more sellers? We have no idea. Okay, so we're just going to look for price to clear 533.17. I got these 2 extension levels that we could be paying attention to on the upside. So we're going to be looking for 538.70 and then 544 if 533 can be taken out. Okay, you know, support over here on QQQ. We're sitting right on 530.61, so above 530.61, you're looking for 533.17. And then you're looking for the levels we just talked about up here, 538.70 and then 544. But as support, 526.72, 524.04, 519.60, and then worst case scenario 515.58. But you know, with what I just talked about and how IWM is already set up and how a lot of these things, the major components of this bad boy right here are set up, I'm thinking we probably, you know, get maybe a slight pullback at the beginning of the week and then continue higher, or we just continue higher, or we consolidate and then continue higher. I'll just draw out these scenarios. We got the one that goes straight up. We get the one that consolidates up until Wednesday and then boom. All right. We got the one that pulls back until Wednesday and then boom. All of my scenarios lead to further upside with how things are looking. All right. So that's what I'm going to be paying attention to. That's what I'm looking for. That's, you know, my base case for the week is you're either going to consolidate and go higher. You're going to pull back a little at the beginning of the week and then go higher, or you're just going to start chugging along. I looked back over the last like 3 years, and, you know, with this candlestick that we just printed on a fresh high like that, we typically do not see that mark a short-term top or a major top. We just don't. Right here, this is what I'm saying. You get a little consolidation / a pullback, and then you continue higher. All right, this is very likely, you know, it's not likely. This is very like the candle we got on Friday's close over there. You can see, you know, that going on there. You can see this one right here. You immediately went higher. I'm not saying you go much higher, but, you know, ideally we consolidate or pull back into that Wednesday event, and then that gives us, you know, life in big tech. Well, I mean, life is already flowing into big tech, but, you know, ideally IWM catches a really nasty bid off that. All right, that would be like TNA over here. Okay, it's like pretty much the same exact thing, but you see we are right at that breakout level up here. We're like right around it, and if you want to really put in a zone, okay, something like that, like you're kind of holding on for dear life over there, but, you know, in reality, kind of can go all the way back here. Okay. All right. So I don't watch TNA, but, you know, same exact charts over here, and we can just look at, you know, some higher risk names over here. We're actually, this is one of the trade ideas I was going to, you know, pitch to you guys in this video. We did close out with a hammer over here on Friday off of 60.42. Resistance flipped into support. You closed, you know, with this bounce off of the 9 EMA here. It's like that this thing is going to run up. You can clearly see, like, you know, this little getting tight over here. You're condensing, you're getting, you know, you're coiling up, getting ready for that next move over here. And I think it's probably a coming. All right. Just like we had that coiling pattern over here. We're getting the same thing over here. Where was it off of over here? Daily 9. Where is it off of right here? Daily 9. All right. So we do have some small cap and high risk names that are setting up. But, you know, as far as I'm concerned, guys, I'm looking for further upside here. Typically when we print this thing into a new high, it's, you know, it can mark a short-term pullback and then you continue on your way. Okay. So I'm looking to buy the dip if we get it early on in the week. I'm going to point out some names that I really like for that dip buy. I think one of the biggest boys of them all is setting up for major buy opportunity. And if we get that pullback to start off the week, I'm going to be, you know, looking for that. You got a similar candle right there. You just kind of continue higher, and then you pull back, and then you continue higher. You know, like, go find me one of these candlesticks that really, you know, marked a top here. They don't. Okay. You pull back and then you go higher. All right. The major tops, they've kind of been these blow off kind of moves, and then you could fade. You don't print what we just printed. Okay. You got one right here. I take it back. You got one right here. But, you know, grand scheme of things, you are, you know, chugging along. You don't just get that fresh gap up there. And, you know, who we did over here. Let me find it. Reminds me of this guy over here where he gapped up into new high. All right. So that's what I'm looking for on QQ. And, you know, just to confirm what I'm saying here, like a big part of my thesis here on why things are going higher, guys, big tech is set up to keep ripping. I'm going to point out the components in this video, but big tech is definitely set up to keep ripping. Coming over here to SPY, this is something that I think, you know, maybe we consolidate / come a little lower, test 617 at the start of the week or something, print like a lower wick off of over here. And then we continue, you know, maybe we end up like flat on the week or something with the hammer candlestick. And then you continue higher over the following 1 to 2 weeks for that Santa rally. You know, here on the daily time frame, people are getting bearish on this, but I'm just going to say, first of all, lower high, you have to take out this to really, you know, get down here under 602.13. Yeah, you're probably going to test 617 in a hurry. But in reality, guys, you're just consolidating here in a controlled manner after your impulsive move up. We've talked about this over on there on IWM. What's the same thing over here? You're pulling back in that controlled manner, whereas you had the impulsive move up, controlled manner, back to a key spot, structure, and then impulsive manner. And now you're just pulling back in that controlled manner. Like, it doesn't look bad. It really does not look bad to me. Resistance 607.16. And above there, you're going to be looking for 609.07. And then on the downside of support, we're kind of sitting right on, one of my support levels, 604.32. You got 602.13. If you get under 602.13, so we'll just draw an arrow, probably come down here pretty quick. But what do you have down there, guys? You're going to have the 21 EMA sitting right there that we found support off of last time over there. And as you see, a lot of the times we get the bars off of this 21 EMA. Right there, right there, right there, right there. Okay? So it is a thing. All right. Again, weekly chart, aggressive uptrend, pull back, probably just going to create a buying opportunity over here. And that is what we have for SPY. Worst case scenario, you come down here, you test the golden pocket. I don't think that's going to be the case though, but underneath 597.28, watch for the test of 593.70, which is the 0.618 Fibonacci retracement from all the way down here up to here. All right. IWM, we just talked about it, guys. The real thing I want to point out here is, with extended trading hours on, ETH, 4-hour RSI is in the spot we typically see price start bouncing back from, and it's pretty aggressive. And if it does go lower, guys, it's just going to put in a bullish divergence, and then it gets pretty aggressive. Like right over here, this is worst case scenario. You're going to come down a little bit more. All right. And I don't recommend short-term options trading. I really don't like that. But I will. Like, you could be in and out with these, but in reality, I am a heavy fan of just buying time on your thing, so you have more time for the trade to actually play out. Because let's just say you bought over here and you saw that, and maybe you sold at the bottom because now you're down massively on the short-term options. First of all, on this move, you're getting wrecked. They're down 70, 80%, 100%. If you got like 2 to 3 weeks on them, well, what happens if you got 2 months on them, 2 to 3 months on them, and you got to sit through this mess? All right, this is a 2-week mess. But at the end of the day, within 2 weeks, you came back, you were actually up $4 to $5, and then give it 3 weeks. And what's up? You're up $15 from where you bought in. So, on something like this, you start buying here. And if you see this, you go a little bit heavier, you buy something, and then maybe by the time you get right here, you break even. All right. And then boom, you're up really big on this whole advance here. Okay. So that's typically how I like to see things, how I like to trade. And, yeah, that's how I'm planning on going about this thing. Okay. Support though is going to be 232.75, 235.57, 239.43. Not support. My bad. I just started going over the upside resistance. Okay. 232.75, 230.82 is your support. If you break under 230, guys, look for a test of 226.64. But you also have this uptrend right here. And like I pointed out on the weekly time frame, you're sitting right here on the weekly 9, which oftentimes provides your bounces. Okay, there, right there. Back over the daily time frame, guys, you are in the golden pocket. There's another area of confluence down here. Like, you got the confluence going on down here. Okay, on the upside is resistance 235.57, 239.43, 242.39, and 244.98. I think this is a solid shot. We either do this and then this, or you're gonna start bouncing back with the bottom is in. Okay. That's really what I'm looking for over here. Wednesday is the big catalyst for small caps over here for IWM. Now, Mr. VIX, guys, you did have a hammer candlestick early on in the day on Friday. On the week, how did we, pan out over here? Well, I just want to point out last green candlestick, you went a little higher, saw volatility spike. This would be the scenario where we get the pullback into the start of the week, and then we bounce on Wednesday. As you see, you spike beginning of the week, and then you faded 20% of that whole move. All right, from here down to here. And then you close out the low, and then it looks like the indices would have just continued higher. We know they continue higher. We've been talking and watching them. We go over on this channel 5 days a week. We have a weekly update on Saturday, and then Monday through Thursday, we hit it with the daily update after market close. And I hope you guys do enjoy the content. I really do appreciate having you guys here. I've talked about it. Trading, it's a lonely journey, guys, and it helps to have a community behind you and supporting you throughout it. And that's what we try and do here. I want everyone to have a good time. I have no incentive for you guys not to have a good time in this market. I hope you guys make so much freaking money, and most importantly, I hope you guys are learning. Okay, because you should learn how to fish, and if you can learn how to fish, you can continuously compound your money over time and have a really good time in life. All right, so that is really the goal of this. But on the daily time frame, you kind of just put in a doji candlestick. Okay, if you take out 1324, probably going to come down in the short term, take out 1270, and that's when, you know, indexes are at a new high. Okay, I'm looking for either consolidation out of this, maybe spike a little higher, maybe you get rejection off of 1490 and then come down. I'm looking for something like this, either go like that, or we're gonna, you know, pull back on the indices, start off the week, come up here, and then maybe flush into the end of the week. That's what I'm looking for. This is just how I think IWM is setting up. It's really our canary in the coal mine right now. All right, now let's talk about the major components, guys. Weekly time frame. I pointed out early on in the week, I think we are here in this cycle, this breakout sequence or breakout cycle, whatever you want to call it. That's exactly how we closed out. Okay, so I am expecting this to continue higher after this little pullback here. You closed out right above the daily 9. On the downside, you have 614.20 support. And if you really do finally pull into 602.95, major buying opportunity, in my personal opinion, for that move up to 650. I've been talking about it. We didn't get it over here. We rode this little move up right here. But, you know, in reality, guess what? If we get it, it's probably very likely to be bought. But I wouldn't be surprised if you don't get it because you didn't get it over here. All right, Tesla, guys, I think you're coming up to my target. Okay, 465. I do think you're coming up to the target. You closed out the week really strong. Closed out Friday really strong. It looks like it just wants to continue stair-stepping its way up, guys. You know, I talked about that 30% move. I know it didn't take, you know, 5 trading sessions. I think I talked about 26%. That was, you know, what we were seeing at least on all of those breakouts, the past 3 breakouts. Well, you know, we're already at 21%. It didn't go in a week like the past times, but, you know, within like 2 to 3 weeks, this thing is going to end up having that 26% move. And that brings us right up here. It's about 30%, but 450 incoming this week. I think 465 is probable after that, just because that is when you broke out above here. That is the target. If you just go from there to there, ran 136 bucks. Let's just go here up to here. All right, just about brings you up there. Okay, so 450 and then 465, I think are probable this week. So dips are remaining as buying opportunities over here. It's leading the way, like we talked about. Now, Goog, this is another thing. Like, guys, when it was on this day, we talked about this pullback that is probably going to happen after these big moves up. All right, and fresh breakout. If you consolidate like this or even pull back deeper, it is just a buying opportunity. You just broke out to new high. Very likely not going to just, you know, fade this move that just happened. You're going to get something like this. Ideally, we get a gap down to start off the week. You come back here, maybe even test 183 and freak everybody out. That's a major buying opportunity. That's the most recent break and retest level over there. Okay, so that's what I'm watching on Goog. You got Microsoft sitting over here looking all pretty. I know you started selling off on Thursday into Friday, but again, we pointed out, you know, after this day right here, see this arrow right here. If you come down to 441.85, major buying opportunity, that is where you ended up breaking out. Okay. Major buying opportunity over here. Apple over here, guys. If you pull back to the daily 9 over there, 244.54, breakout level right there. Again, buying opportunity. You're just consolidating. You're probably going to get up to 250. All right, you already hit 250.80, but you know, probably going to head back up there, 250.80 above there, 255 psychological level, and then you probably have 260 incoming. This weekly chart shows a breakout. This is week 2 of a 4 months of consolidation breakout. This is a bullish setup we were watching. This is only week 2 of it. It's probably going higher. Amazon over here, guys. You know, again, kind of the same concept. You know, you had this 4 months or so, almost 5 months of consolidation there. You broke out, you got the pullback into it, and technically this is like week 3 of the breakout. But you know, technically do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's probably going to, you know, stay above this level over here. If you get a pullback, it's a buying opportunity, clear as day. Weekly chart maybe looking a little hairy there with the spinning top candlestick, but you know, pull back here, 224.20. That's going to be your daily 9 test. Pull back deeper, get this pullback right there, and there's your other buying opportunity at the 21 EMA at 215.90, previous breakout level. So you know, get the breakout, get the pullback before, you know, that Wednesday, you know, our catalyst there for the rate cut. Guess what? It very likely gets bought up. You have chips. How did they close out the week, guys? In a very bullish manner. You have a weekly hammer candlestick on the weekly time frame. Okay, I call this the hammer, but you know, I also call it the pin bar candlestick because you got a little wick up regardless, both are bullish, guys, and you're consolidating now above the weekly moving averages over here. You held the golden pocket and you got right back up. It looks like you're going to take out 253.07, this previous swing high. And above there, we have, open skies up to 262.26. Then above there, we have that 270.54 gap and then 283.07. And I do think one of the big boys is going to start helping this guy instead of working against it. So let's talk about it. Nvidia, this is trade idea number one, but we'll revisit this at the end of the video. Guess what? Head and shoulders pattern right there. We all see it. It's pretty obvious there. If you come down, come down over here, you're probably coming down here. Major buying opportunity, in my personal opinion, between 127.67 and 131.26. Daily RSI is already where this is one spot where we pointed out where you start getting your bounces from. Okay, right over here, right over there, right there. But what's next, guys? You come down to the spot 36, like we're going to say 37 on the daily RSI. If you hit 37 on the daily RSI, I'm just going to literally put in that. Okay, if you hit down there, downside is then limited. You came down here, you tested on this day right here. The next day you saw a pretty big gap up, all right, 15%. Okay, like you legit saw a 13% move the following day. You went a little higher the next day and you sold down to a new low, put in a bullish divergence. You're planning on buying this thing and you take profits on that. You get your initial, money out of the trade and now you leave runners. And if it just takes off, hey, you're big time winning there, okay? But now it leaves you with the room. So if it comes back down, takes out the low, puts in a bullish divergence here, now you really start buying. Maybe you buy some here, maybe you buy some here. It's probably going to be bought up there. Buy with time. I'm talking 2 to 3 months out. If you want to be safe, buy 6 freaking months out. It's probably going to print. All right. And now, since you took some profits on the initial move up, you're like, you catch a 10% move over here with 2 months. Guys, you're already up like 70 to 100%. Take your freaking money. Okay. But then you see that you have the 2 to 3 months on your contracts there. You can legit buy back what you sold, and then you're a big winner. Even if you just buy it on this day because you don't think it's going much lower. All right. Well, the next day, downside is limited. If you're good with sitting on some red for a few days, guys, it's an extremely high probability trade setup. If you see this thing get back down there over the last 2 years, you have gotten bought up every time there. You got one opportunity here for that. Like I said, 12% move on the next day. And right here, you just got to, from the bottom, you rode a ripperoonie, okay? Within, 2 weeks, 40% move, $40 gain. All right, over here, like you see what I'm saying? That was the final day of downside, and then you ripped. Over here, okay? You got this. You got your initial move there. You came back down, but again, you have time in your contracts or you're just buying shares. You're having a good time because over the next month, you're going to be up big. All right. And then you got this over here. You started buying right when it hit. It was that day. Well, the next day marked the bottom. Okay. What over here? It marked the bottom over here. It marked the bottom, guys. We have to go back into the freaking bear market. And we know for a fact we have a ton of bullish structure on all of these big tech charts. And the indices, it's going higher. Okay. So like, don't be bearish on these things. If you see this opportunity, I know you can start saying, oh, the measure move over here. Oh, 8% to the downside. Coming way down there. Even if it does, and you're buying right here, who cares? It's going to be for like 1 to 2 days. Buy your time. Don't put yourself in a bad spot. That is why I preach, do not buy the short-term expirations. All right. You come over here to Avco, guys. Big breakout this week. It's looking phenomenal. Phenomenal. Okay. You got nothing to worry about on these things. They're like, semis are probably going higher. All right. If you see consolidation or pullback, buy it. No financial advice on this channel, but buy it. There you go. Come over to ARM. We called this one out in advance. You just started breaking out from this consolidation this week, and it's looking mighty fine over here. You are looking mighty fine. Let me take out all the clutter. All right. I know you have that shooting star candlestick, but in the reality, you sold off right from the 0.786 fib. You got the weekly candle I just showed you guys. If you pull back here, it's a buying opportunity. Okay, so if you sold into this move, maybe you buy some back. If you come back and that's 144.54, and then you get to have a really good time because this thing's heading up to 164 plus. All right, this move just started. Get the pullback, see the pullback. No financial advice, buy the pullback. There you go. TSM, it started perking back up. Does this look like a weekly chart that's just going to sell off to you? It doesn't to me. All right, it does not to me. This thing looks like an inverse head and shoulders pattern. This pullback just created the right shoulder, and above 206.61, this thing could probably go to 220. All right. You come over INTC. This is like the worst of the bunch over here. But, you know, even that, you're still finding buyers over here. I wouldn't be touching this guy, though. This thing's probably coming down to 1851. You got MU starting to catch a bid over there on Friday. Weekly chart, guys, I'm just going to point out you've been doing a whole lot of nothing. If you want to see a bigger move, wait for a break above 106.40 or a break underneath 96.18. Those are, you know, where you're going to start your big moves up. AMD over here, guys, you did start seeing buyers on Friday. I do think you're probably going to come a little bit lower. But, you know, in the grand scheme of things, this thing is, you know, already oversold. If the whole chip sector finds a bid, this is probably going to also, you know, catch a bid with everything else. I wouldn't expect too much out of this, but, you know, I could be wrong. I would say it's best to stay away from the trolls. I just pointed out Nvidia and ARM that are looking phenomenal. Avgo on a pullback looking phenomenal. TSM wants to, you know, get that short-term momentum going back again. If you break over 206.61, I give you plenty of trade ideas that have, you know, steam. They have strength behind them. INTC and AMD and MU, they're not one. Okay, I would say just it's best to leave them alone. All right, guys. So now we are going to go over my trade ideas coming into the week. We're going to run through this. I already went over Nvidia in detail right there. All right, I already went over IWM in detail right there. Go back to the, you know, beginning of the video if you want to see IWM there. MSTR, guys, this one just got added to the NASDAQ on Friday, right after 8 o'clock. So, you know, no action happens. Probably going to get a nice gap up off the open, you know, above 444.94. I do think this can run to 543. And then, you know, $600 psychological level is above there. But, you know, probably going to get a gap up off the open. I pointed this one out, said, you know, I didn't really want it. I got so close to pulling the trigger on 117 calls, 500 C on Friday there, but they were going for, you know, a pretty penny there. They're like $4,000, 3.5K a pop. When I was looking at them, I was like, do I really want to, you know, mess with the troll, the thing that's been consolidating like this? Not really. Okay. I was just going to plan on waiting for the breakout. Maybe I'd play that with shorter term options, but we'll see. I do think this is going to get going this week. RK, I pointed this one out early, talked a little bit about it. It's consolidating here in this bull flag-like manner, bull pennant, bull flag, right off the daily 9, right off of our key level right there, 60.42. Resistance flipped into support. I think this is probably going to catch a bid, all right? Get above 63.25, and that's the key catalyst here is Wednesday, rate cut. This is a higher risk name over here. Those are the companies that are going to do well. This thing has the companies in it, and it's probably going to also do well. Upstart, we talked about this one coming into the week. All right, this was, you know, top watch, I was saying, for me. You did end up seeing that breakout. It's a little troll over here, guys, these high-risk names. I personally don't like trading them, but, you know, there is money to be made on them. I'll call them out as we get them. I watch, you know, a bunch of tickers over here. I'll call them out as I see them, but I really do think you're going to have a much better time just sticking to the main ones that we talk about, the mega caps, the big boys, and then the semiconductors. You can make a living off of that. Okay, there's so many swings in the market that you can take advantage of. But Upstart, as you can see on the week, guys, you did, you know, start breaking up out of that, you know, pennant, and then over 86.07, we were talking 94.43, and then 116.90. This thing could move a lot in the short term. I would expect that to happen. All right. This is one we are getting the pullback into the most recent breakout level over here at 23.40. You know, I got my alert set at the wrong spot right here. We'll move that up. But yeah, I do think this thing is probably going to catch a bid if it comes back to test 23.40. We'll pay attention to it. Okay, again, a higher risk name, but Wednesday is that catalyst for these things to move. D-King over here, guys, solid red bar. I look back on the chart. You typically don't get upside right after the solid red bar, but, you know, you do when the daily RSI starts getting into oversold territory. So if the cross is under 30, like over here, you know, it was building out your base, and then you started really reversing over here, hit 30 on, you know, this day right here, went lower for a few days, and then really started taking off. You know, over here, you didn't hit it, but, you know, so I'm looking for buyers step in. You're at a key spot. I'm looking for this golden pocket to hold over here. I don't like the weekly and daily candlestick, but I do like the confluence you got going on right here. So I wouldn't be surprised if you go slightly lower, all right, and print like a hammer candlestick on the week or something like that. This is something I'm watching coming into the week. BA, we talked about it before it really started moving on this breakout day right here, guys. It really did start moving. You now do have a change in structure over there on the weekly time frame. Broke above 163.44. I'm loving the look of this thing. I do think it's coming up to 180.70 and then 196.95 following that. TLH over here, guys. You got your first weekly close over the daily, not daily 9, the weekly 9 over there. It really changes if you get over 35.99, but, you know, you could see you get a higher low, followed by a higher high. If you take out 32.38 and then 33.60, probably come up to 35.99. And that's when you have a weekly change in structure. You take out the last weekly high over here. This thing probably really starts moving. Nike, guys, you got earnings coming up. I think it's on Thursday. Thursday over there, consolidating this flag after breaking out of this. I'm watching this guy as well. Uber over here, guys, this is something that, is now reaching a spot where downside is typically limited over the past few years. You will start getting your bounces. I'm not saying it's going to be a major bounce, but I'm saying a dead cat bounce at least. And I do think it's getting to a point where it's probably going to start seeing that bounce. Downside is limited over here on Uber, all right, down to 54.84. But I think there's a lot more upside to be had over here on Uber than downside. With that being said, guys, I appreciate y'all. I hope everybody kills it this week. And with that being said, I will catch y'all in the next one. Just a reminder, I started the Christmas sale on our community. All right, so the link is going to be down below. It is going to be code Santa. You could take 50% off on any of your first payments there on any plan. Just know, no rush. It is going to be going until Christmas. So you do have 2 weeks. I did it so everyone has, there you go. You want to buy Christmas presents for people. You want to do that stuff. All right. You can now do that before Christmas. All right. With that being said, guys, I'll catch you all in the next one. I hope everybody kills it this week. And peace.